5 people who believed they slipped into another time.
These stories are often described as personal accounts. None of them are verified, but each comes from someone who insists the experience felt real. 1. The street that was decades behind. A woman in her early 30s was walking home from work through a familiar downtown area. She turned down a side street she had used hundreds of times before, but halfway down, something felt wrong. The sound of traffic faded. Streetlights changed, older, warmer bulbs. The storefronts no longer had digital signs. Every car on the street looked outdated. She noticed a movie poster in a theater window. It was advertising a film that, according to her, had been released before she was born. Assuming it was some kind of themed event, she kept walking. People stared at her clothes. One man actually stepped aside to let her pass, looking confused. At the end of the street, she turned the corner, and the noise of modern traffic returned instantly. When she went back the next day, the street was completely normal. No old posters, no vintage cars. Some commenters believe she briefly crossed into a preserved historical zone. Others say she experienced a dissociative episode. But she insists the street felt present, not staged. 2. The elevator that skipped a year. A maintenance worker in a large office building stayed late one night to finish repairs. He entered an elevator that was supposed to take him to the ground floor. The doors closed. The lights flickered. When they opened again, he was still inside the building, but everything looked different. Desks were arranged differently. Logos on the walls were outdated. Calendars showed the previous year. Even the security badge scanner rejected his card. A co-worker he recognized walked past him, but acted like they had never met. Moments later, the elevator doors closed again on their own. When they reopened, the building had returned to normal. Later, he checked archived emails. The layout he saw matched exactly how the office had looked 1 year earlier. Was it a glitch in memory? Or did the elevator stop somewhere it wasn't supposed to? 3. The road that refused to age. A long-distance driver described taking a rural shortcut to avoid traffic. The road stretched on longer than expected. There were no modern road signs, no billboards, and no phone signal. Eventually, he passed through a small town. Gas prices were dramatically lower than they should have been. The pumps were mechanical. People stared. When he asked for directions, the clerk mentioned a highway name that hadn't existed in decades. After leaving the town, the road suddenly merged into a modern freeway. When he checked his dash cam later, the footage from that stretch was missing. Maps showed no record of the town ever existing. Some say it was a forgotten rural area. Others think the road was briefly out of sync. 4. The hospital with the wrong date. A man woke up in a hospital bed after a car accident. The equipment looked older than expected. The staff wore unfamiliar uniforms. A nurse told him the date. It was 5 years earlier. Assuming confusion from the accident, he asked to see the TV. The news headlines matched the earlier date exactly. Later, he fell asleep. When he woke again, everything was modern. Doctors confirmed he had only been unconscious for a few hours. But he remembered conversations that hadn't happened yet. And months later, some of those details came true. Was it trauma? Or did his mind go somewhere before his body followed? 5. The festival that no one else remembers. 2 friends attending a weekend road trip described stopping in a town hosting a lively festival. Music, food stalls, crowds. They took photos. They stayed for hours. The next day, when they showed the pictures to others, the images were gone. Online searches showed no record of the festival. Locals from nearby towns said nothing like that had ever taken place. But both friends remembered the same details independently. The same songs, the same performances. Some believe shared false memories explain it. Others ask a harder question. How do 2 people misremember the same thing, the same way? These stories don't claim to be proof of time travel. They exist in the space between certainty and doubt. where memory, perception, and reality overlap. So here's what people argue about most. Did these individuals briefly slip into another time? Or did their minds fill in gaps we don't fully understand yet? Tell me which story made you pause, and what you think really happened.